Good evening and welcome to our 41st virtual prayer meeting. My name's Doug Hornock and I'm the pastor at Mid-Valley Bible. Tonight I want us to continue looking at the Lord's Prayer, or more accurately, the Disciples' Prayer. And our focus tonight is on the request that Jesus instructs us to make, where we're told to pray, "Give us this day our daily bread." Now when Jesus says that, he's shifting gears and pivoting to requests that are of a personal nature to you and me. The first three petitions deal with the person and program of God. We are to address him as our Father who's in heaven, and we are to request that his name be hallowed, that his kingdom come, and that his will be done. And then Jesus turns his attention in this prayer to talking about matters of concern that you and I have of a personal nature. And the first request is that God would provide for us our daily bread. The first three requests are Godward. The next requests are manward. And that phrase, "give us today our daily bread," has a much deeper meaning than simply asking for God to provide us with our next meal. Given the fact that you and I live in a nation where there is an abundance of food, this request doesn't seem to impact us much. Living here, we have an abundance of food that is readily available. We can go to the grocery store and push our shopping carts through a maze of shelves that are filled with all kinds of food. So the idea of praying for daily food seems to be a bit out of place. Thankfully, you and I don't live in the Sudan or Somalia or East Africa, where famines are common and people tragically die from starvation. We live in America, where there's an overabundance of food. And the truth be known, if people are going hungry, it's not for lack of available food. It's because of the poor choices and lifestyles that people are choosing. But I want to suggest that what Jesus is instructing us to do is to look at this request in two dimensions. First, the physical, and second, the spiritual. And tonight I want us to look at the physical side, and next Tuesday we'll look at the spiritual. But both dimensions require that God provide for us nourishment. On the physical side, Jesus is asking us to pray daily, not only for our groceries, but also for our shelter and clothing, all of the things related to our material well-being. And realize that God is ultimately the provider of all. You say, "Doug, I work hard. I put in 40, 50 hours a week on my job to put food on the table," and that very well may be true. But who gives you that sound mind and healthy body to do that? Jesus, in this prayer, is reminding us that God is always on the giving side of everything we have, and we are on the receiving side. James in James 1:17 says, "Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation of shadow due to change." Jesus is saying, I want you to come to me daily in a spirit of humble dependence, asking him to provide what we need and to sustain us day by day physically. We are not given a license to ask for great riches, but we are encouraged to make our needs known to him and trust that he will provide. And that ought to cause us not to be anxious, not to worry. I'm going to close with a story that comes out of the Korean War. Tragically, as with all wars, South Korea was left with a large number of children who had been orphaned by that conflict. And relief agencies came in to deal with the problem that arose in connection with having so many orphaned children. One of the people involved in this relief effort related a problem that they encountered with the children who were in the orphanages. It seemed that even though the children had 3 meals a day provided for them, they were restless and anxious at night and had difficulty sleeping. And as the workers talked to the children, they soon discovered that the children had great anxiety about whether they would have food for the next day. And so to help them resolve this problem, the relief workers in one particular orphanage decided that each night when the children were put to bed, the nurses would place a single piece of bread in each child's hand. Now that bread wasn't intended to be eaten. It was simply intended to be held by the children as they went to sleep. It was sort of a security blanket, reminding them that there would be provisions for their daily needs. Well, sure enough, the bread calmed the children's anxieties and helped them to sleep. And I want to suggest tonight that likewise we can take comfort in knowing that our physical needs are met, that we have food or bread for our needs. And so with that before us, let's now go to prayer.